Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Funmi Unaujefe, and in celebration of Global Money Week and International Women's Month, Nairametrics, in partnership with PlusTv Africa, has this special planned. And I'm not by myself today. I'm here with Tolulope Olateju. Tolulope, how have you been?
Hi, Funmi. I'm doing very well. Good morning, everyone. Afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you for joining us today on this special episode of celebrating International Women's Day, as well as Global Money Week. So today we're going to be discussing various financial methods by which women especially can equip themselves and learn about financial literacy. And I'm not going to be doing this alone, of course. Myself and Funmi will be taking you through this journey alongside panelists. But before we start, I'll quickly give us a quick peep into what today's session is going to look like. So we're going to have a presentation first by one of our experts in the house, and then we'll have a panelist session. And then after the panelist session, we have the Q&A session. So now I'm going to hand over to Funmi to take the panelist introduction.
Okay. So before I take the panelist introduction, in case you were wondering what Global Money Week is about and why it's important, Global Money Week is an annual global awareness raising campaign on the importance of ensuring that young people and old people, and people like me, even though I don't know where in the spectrum I fall in now, from an early age are financially aware, and they're gradually acquiring the knowledge, skills, and attitudes necessary to make sound financial decisions, because everybody wants to blow, everybody wants to be a millionaire and a billionaire, but there are steps to these things. And so these decisions will ultimately help them achieve financial well-being and financial resilience. So we have a full house. We have 3 billion female guests and a lot of viewers and listeners who are joining us online and via Zoom as well, and who have questions. So we'll take a quick break and then we'll be right back with our first guest, Sola Adesakin. Stay with us. So Esther, do you have the profile now?
Okay.
Thank you for staying with us. And so my name is Funmi Unaujefe, and I'm still here with Tolulope. So we're starting out with our first panelist, Sola Adesakin. She's the founder of Smart Stewards. Sola, how have you been?
Good morning. I'm in a great place. I'm happy to be here today as well. Thank you.
We're so glad you could make our time to join us today. So I want to find out from you, how can women balance their short-term financial needs and their long-term goals and aspirations?
All right. So I love the question. When we talk about balance, a lot of things come to mind. But I think a first place to start from is for us to understand what our priorities are. So you can't balance anything when you don't even know your options. You know, let me bring it back home to you wanting to balance your business, your career, you know, your marriage, and a whole lot of things. So you're looking at different options and you're thinking, what am I going to prioritize? What am I going to do? Which am I going to put, you know, on the front burner at a point in time? Do you see? But let's bring it back home to personal finance, which is what we're talking about today. How do you balance your long-term goals and your short-term goals? I see a lot of people wanting to just set goals. You know, it's a word that we use all the time. I want to set my goals at the beginning of the year. I want to set my goals. And by February or second week of the year, goals are in the mud already. I think I should first of all quickly talk about financial goals. And my perspective about sharing financial goals is quite different. I know there's this thing about setting SMART goals, make it specific, measurable, attainable, and all of those things. I love those things. But I think when it comes to finances, this approach that I am about to share would help us, you know, achieve our goals better. I teach setting 3 types of goals, financial goals: short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals. So short-term goals are the things that you would like to achieve within 1 year. Mid-term goals are things you would love to do within 3 to 5 years. And long-term goals are things you would like to do 7 years and above. Now, the reason I say this is because in the course of setting goals, a lot of people want to do what is meant to be a long-term or a mid-term goal within a short-term duration. And then they burn out. You're earning 50,000 naira per month, but you want to build a house, which is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. You will build a house, but in terms of prioritizing it, your current reality cannot support that goal. So it'll be safe for you to say, you know what? I want to build a house, which is a good goal, which is a good dream. But I know that realistically, and yes, applying faith, I can do it within 3 or 4 years. I will save, I will do this and that. And then some people, some things that they are meant to accomplish within a short-term period, you know, they keep moving it and pushing it ahead, and then they feel totally dissatisfied. So what am I saying in essence? First of all, set your goals by duration. Short-term goals in the world of personal finance might include, I need to pay my rent within 1 year. That is sacrosanct. We all know that for those who don't have their houses yet, they have to pay rent within a year. That's a short-term goal. Another short-term goal might be, I want to relocate. I want to maybe go for my master's, or I want to buy a car. A midterm goal. I mean, and these goals will differ from one person to another. So by the time you realize what your short-term goals are, your midterm goals are, your long-term goals are, you then can prioritize. And then prioritize your resources as well. If you say, I want to relocate, I want to go for my master's within 1 year, you know that, okay, from every money I make, this is what I'm going to be saving towards it. So how do we prioritize? Know your options. Break your goals into short-term, mid-term, long-term, and then start to prioritize and then start to balance. It helps for effective planning of your resources. When we talk about budgeting, when we talk about saving, when we talk about these things, but realistically, we don't sit down to say, how realistic are these things I am writing down? I hope that helps for starters.
Really a good foundation for us to start with. I hope everyone has their notepad ready for this session. So before we dive right into the panelist session, Sola Adesakin will be taking us through a presentation on plan your money and plant your future to whet our appetite and give us the right information we need just before we engage the other panelists. So Sola Adesakin, please let's have your presentation on planning your money and planting your future.
All right, thank you. I will go straight into that and just in a few minutes, and we'll take the conversation away from there. I love the topic. Please confirm you can see my slides. Plan your money, plant your future. I love that theme for the Global Money Week. And it simply just says that, you know what you do right now, what you do currently will affect what you get, in the future. You want to see or enjoy a good financial future, it starts from now. And I'm going to start by sharing three reasons why as women, we must plan our finances. Now, a survey was done, by, I think, the DNA of Wellness Group or something. And one of the things they realized is the fact that one of the greatest unnoticed drains on individuals' productivity is the distraction that financial stress puts on people. Now, these days, when people say my mental health, my dad's health, when you drill down, when you talk with people, when you coach with people, more often than not, financial stress is one of the things causing the mental health issues. Not in all cases, causing stress in marriage, causing emotional stress. Do you see? And there was a survey that was done, and they were asking people, what are some of the things that would usually cause you stress? Physical, career, social, community, and financial. And look at it, 27%, which is the highest of all of those, stuff, was financial. So people have career stress, social stress, community stress, and all of those things. But financial stress ranked at the highest. So why should we plan our finances? Why should we, as women especially? So the first thing is that financial stress is real. And more than ever before, when you look at the state of the economy, not just national economy, but even the global economy. I was talking with a friend at the gym earlier today, and she wanted to get some things from the UK, and she was saying these things have gone up. And I'm like, these are basic things. I read an article, I think it was last month, and they said that vegetables in the UK were scarce. And even when available, they were expensive. So it's not just a Nigerian thing. Everywhere, inflation, devaluation, so many things are happening. Now, if there's any time that we need to plan our finances better, it has got to be now as women. Now, what is another reason why as women we must plan our finances? I looked up and at some statistics, and I realized that, we're not playing the gender or, whatever card here. But as women, there are a lot of odds stacked against us. There's a gender pay gap. Those in the career field, those who are employees, can attest to this. There's a guy on the same level with you. For whatever reason, he's earning higher, right? Yes, the reason for the International Women's Day celebration and all of these things is to bridge the gap. But these things exist realistically. So if a guy is earning about 2 million on a roll, and as a lady, you're earning about 1.5 million as a roll, if both of you are single, the expenses are literally the same. But the guy has more money at his disposal, either to save, to invest, or to do whatever he wants to do. So as women, we must constantly realize that, there are these odds against us, and we must continue to work at, navigating them. Another reason, as women, we take career breaks. A woman in our career lifetime would usually go on 2 or 3 maternity breaks. Yes or yes. And some people go on 5. I met a lady recently who said during her career break, she took 7 maternity leaves. I'm like, mommy, well done, ma. We take those breaks. Yeah, you might have a good job where they're paying you, all of those maternity perks and all of that. But you know that when you take care of your children, take care of your baby, by the time you come back to work, in one way or the other, your productivity levels are sort of reduced. Maybe not all of the time. But apart from even maternity breaks, sometimes we know the things that we deal with as women. Sometimes you have to just take off some time off work because of your child, because of your family. And what it means, even as business owners, is that you're not able to generate as much money as you would have loved to do. Another thing is women live longer than men. I don't know if you read these statistics. A lot of women outlive their husbands. So when the husband is gone, the woman is the one dealing with all of those things. So we need to plan financially. Even if your husband, gives you stuff, you must also plan your own stuff, your own finances, so that you're not absolutely depending on what somebody has done. Another thing is lack of financial confidence. My sisters here, Solape, Damilola, we all operate in a field where, we're always talking about money, we're always talking about confidence, we're always talking about investors, you're always having to face a lot of things. But women lack that confidence. Men will show up and, they start to talk, but as women, and these are some of the things that hinder us from gaining access to the things we need. Women are not able to negotiate properly during interviews. Women are not able to sell their businesses well. These things affect our financial bottom line, either on a personal or a business level. Inadequate retirement savings. Women don't save as much. So these are some of the reasons we must deliberately and intentionally plan our finances. And of course, higher healthcare costs for women. Women, we know now. We know all of those, you have to do this every year, you have to do your pap smear, you have to do this mammogram. Yeah. Men don't do as much, healthcare routines as we do. And then limited access to financial resources. I'm still just laying a quick foundation to make us realize that as women, we must plan our finances. Now, this is the third reason. And this particular image changed my life when I encountered it. And it just simply sums up the human life cycle. It says that between 0 and about 22, 23 years old, you are in your learning cycle where you go to school, mommy and daddy, uncles and brothers are giving you money. A time comes where you start to work. So you're not depending on anyone. You start to work, you get married, you have your children, and then your children, before your eyes, start to get married. I left school at 20 and I thought I had the whole world before me. I look back and I'm like, where have the years gone? And then you work. You're 60, you enter into your retirement phase. Now, when you have this at the back of your mind, you realize that you don't have all the time in the world to plan your finances. You see, that phase 2 is very important. Some of us right now, we are in our either early career, some are in their peak career, some are in their, almost retired. But I want to believe that a lot of people on this call are either in their early career or their mid-career. Always bear this in mind, that you know what? The days seem so slow, but the years fly by so quickly. Nobody is going to plan your finances for you. A time will come, you look at you, and I look at my mom these days, I'm like, when I was younger, this woman was working as a secretary and she had a lot of businesses. She would close on a Friday night, get on a plane, go to London, go to Europe, buy things. By Monday evening, I kid you not, my mom was back. She did multiple businesses. By virtue of those businesses, my mom should have been a billionaire today, but nobody was teaching them financial literacy. And I look at her, she's 73, and I'm like, God, one day I'm going to be like this. This is the time. So understand that there is a window available to you within which whatever you are doing, apply sense and plan for the future, because nobody is going to do it for you. And this is another image that you can just, screen grab to show you that, see, you are young, you are very energetic, you are full of vitality. You won't continue like this, not because of anything bad happening, but a time will come. The energy you have at 20, at 30 is not the same energy you will have at 50. By 40, some of us are in our, 40s already. I'm like, in the next 5 years, I don't think I want to be running around like this. Or shall I quit? All of these things, we must have consolidated. Do you see? So it is important to plan. And what is financial planning? Simply the process of creating a roadmap or a blueprint to help you achieve your financial goals. And it involves analyzing your current situation financially, identifying your financial goals, and developing a plan to help you achieve those goals. So women, this is not a time where you would say, I know my daddy or my mommy, my husband, my accountant is the one handling my finances. You must be involved. You must take responsibility. Don't abdicate your responsibility, your financial future to anybody. Now, let me run through a couple of things that will help us plan. Of course, financial literacy sits at the foundation of financial planning. If you don't have the right knowledge, the skill set, and the mindset, you can't plan anything. Let me tell you guys, when I finished, I started my career very early. And as of 18, 19 years ago, I was earning about $500,000 per month as a chartered accountant. But my finances were all over the place. I was chartered, but my finances was scattered. You know, I was that girl that BA was doing a sale. We go, public holiday, 3 days. Delta, 90,000 to Atlanta, we are there, 4 days. I remember my very first trip to America. They stopped me at the point of entry. How many days are you here for? I said 4 days. You came all the way from Nigeria to America for just 4 days? I said, yeah, is there any big thing? They delayed me at the airport for about 8 hours because they thought I had drugs on me. Now, you know, I was very spontaneous until things happened. No plan, no future, nothing, just, you know what, the money will continue to come because I lacked financial literacy. And financial literacy is a function of 3 things. Having the right mindset about your money, that money is a servant. I am the leader. Money is inanimate. I am animate. Money is not going to get me exasperated because that's what I see. When we talk about money, people are like, this money thing on me. Hey, this money thing on me. I don't know where my money has gone. You've got to be in charge. The second thing is the skill set. I'll talk about this during the Q&A. And of course, the third thing is knowledge. And so thank you to Nairametrics for organizing this. Ladies, beyond this, you must go back to say, this is not a time where, you know, they're talking about economic news and you're saying, no, please flip it, Z-World, next channel. We see many things happening around the world that are not within our control, but that are constantly affecting our finances. COVID, Russia war, look at how those things are affecting us. Now, 7 things, and I'll wrap this up. Tools for your personal financial planning. You need to make money. Money is what will help you plan. So look at your income, read this book by Robert Kiyosaki. Solape has also written a very good book about building generational wealth. I've written a book about, you know, the basic things, 40 frugal rules for your journey to financial freedom. Learn how to make money because that's what you're going to use to plan. You can't, spending is sacrosanct. Whether you make money or not, you must spend. So you must necessarily figure out how to constantly make money because it is from what you make that you will spend. Pillar 2, talk about budgeting. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to hear the word what, but it is what it is. A budget is a navigator. Sit down, map. So some people don't have spending problem. It is income problem, but because you have not written it down, your expenses on a monthly basis are like 300,000 and you're making 200,000. You will burn out, but you don't know. And you keep saying, I have money problems. Like in my early days, each time they were praying for those who needed deliverance, I'll go out because I thought I needed deliverance. So sit down with your finances, interact with your figures. How much am I earning? How much am I spending? Is there a deficit? Is there a surplus? What can I do? Number 3, you need to save. Yes, you can save your way into wealth, but it's a good place to start from. And I need you to screen grab this particular image. You earn the money, you spend part of it, you save the other half, and then you invest it. And that's how wealth is built, rinse and repeat. Number 4, investing. So I tell people saving money is putting money aside. Investing is putting money to work. Saving helps you build consistency. Investing helps you build tenacity because things happen. There's no time, but these are some of the things you can invest in. We'll talk about that during Q&A. Number 4, debts and credit management. I see people borrowing money for consumables, and it breaks my heart. You want to travel, your friends are going on vacation, you don't have the money, and you have to borrow. I see people borrowing money for HRB and so many things. In this part of the world, Nigeria, credit is not something that is so common, but people are using informal ways to get credit to sort of live their lifestyles or fund their lifestyles. You won't go anywhere. Debt is an obligation to the past. Saving and investing is an obligation to the future. So manage your debt and stop digging that debt hole. Number 6, we don't talk about this a lot, but you need to manage your risk and get insurance for your wealth. It is in Africa, you will see that premium is a waste of money. You pay insurance, what? Insurance premium. What if it doesn't happen? It is that very month that you don't renew your insurance that things happen. I remember driving on Third Mainland one day and somebody's tire on the other side got detached from his car, rolled and bounced on my own car, of all people, passing through Third Mainland Bridge. And my brother was driving, shattered my windscreen and forced the car to a stop. If I tell you what, I mean, that was many years ago. Things happen. Thank God I had insurance on the car. Emergency funds is also a way of security. See, in Africa, we are more about accumulating wealth, but we don't think about protecting the wealth. If something happens, may God forbid, it can wipe everything you have built for years. So we need to take risk management and insurance more importantly. And finally, ladies, understand that you operate in 3 economies: your personal economy, the national economy, the global economy. Your personal economy is what you do with what you make, what you spend. You have control over it. Small, not entirely, but at least you can know that, okay, this is what I am spending. I don't teach people don't spend money. I teach spend reasonably. Now, the national economy is what is happening in your country. For example, in Nigeria, these days, we must become more interested in politics because we're like, no, it's not my business. Anybody that comes in, no, the person who comes in affects your business, affects your finances because their policies would indirectly affect what is happening. So put your ears on the ground. And of course, the global economy, I tell people when the president of America sneezes, it affects us. Look at how COVID, affected the entire world. Look at how Russia and Ukraine war affected the entire world. So ladies and gentlemen, there are no gentlemen here, I believe. We must understand all of these 7 things that I have discussed or that I have shared with you in planning our finances. Ultimately, building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah, don't be like, yes, you know what? I want to start now. And there's this initial growth. I want to save, but my investment is not yielding so much. It takes time. It's a lifetime project of rinsing and repeating. You will make mistakes. You will lose money. You will feel, even as a finance coach, sometimes I spend some time like, what happened? Was that village people? But I get back on track and I continue to build. But see, I was an unrepentant spendthrift who couldn't even save 100K in my account, despite earning 500K per month. But with knowledge, with literacy, with the skill set, here I am today. I'm able to save and invest 7 digits, 8 digits without even touching it. So everybody and anybody can take their finances into their hands and begin to achieve great things. I hope that with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you that you can plan your money and plan your future. Of course, I'm the lead coach of Smart Stewards, and we provide financial literacy resources for people, Africans at home and in the diaspora especially. Thank you, and I look forward to the panel sessions.
Oh wow, that was I don't know, very interesting. Well, thank you so much, Shola. What did you make of that
It's a very, very enlightening session. I took down a few notes. For once, Shola said something that she was shattered but scattered. That really took me off balance, because you can be financially buoyant and then you don't have a financial safety net. True. So she really hits the nail on so many salient points. Another one is savings build consistency, and then investment builds tenacity. So there's a whole lot to pick from what Shola has said. Yeah.
I also like when she talked about the fact that oftentimes many women outlive their partners, and then you are there to bear the burden of so many things that, some people are just like, and like many of us say it now, I want to be a baby girl, I want to do a soft life, I'm a billionaire's wife, and we don't even understand the runnings of what is really happening. And then your husband passes, and then you're clueless about how to handle the whole
and a better way to really understand that for me is when she mentioned the life cycle for every woman. I mean, we have so many young ladies now that feel, oh, when I'm 30 years, I'm going to save, or when I'm 40 years, I'm going to save. But there is time for you to save, there's time for you to spend, or time for you to relax and enjoy. So it's also important to understand what cycle you fall into and save accordingly so that you don't get caught off balance.
And I like that Shola speaks from experience, especially when she was telling us about how she went to America for 4 days. Lola, Shola, you're already living large. Just travel to America for 4 days.
All right.
She was balling.
So I just wanted to find out from you, even though you've shared some with us, what are the financial mistakes that many women make now, especially across board, young women, middle-aged women, older women? What are you've shared some from your own personal experience, but I'd like for you to just share with us some mistakes that women make.
Right, thank you. I think one of the first things is that we don't take responsibility. I would share that from my experience and what I see. When I coach people one-on-one, some of the things I hear is, you know what, my husband has been the one handling all the, I don't know, and then we blame everybody. We blame our parents. Some people's parents are dead. You are still blaming them that they didn't give birth to you in America or Canada or UK so that you could have held, the citizenship. We blame the government. Some people blame their children. I have seen women who would say, if not for you, I would have gone for my master's and my finances would have been better. Some of us, we are still blaming Abacha 25 years ago, 30 years ago. Do you see? I mean, I was just kidding. But ladies, take responsibility. Number one, financial mistakes that people make. We blame everybody but ourselves. We don't see that we are actually the ones behind the driver's seat of our financial future. Like they say, the day you wake up is when your eyes of understand. I mean, let me tell you, ladies, I was earning $500,000 and I was going to get married and I resigned. And my husband to me was like, where are you resign? I resigned without having savings because I felt that with my CCA fellow, like all of those qualifications. And then I resigned. I became like a Jonah to my husband because at that time also, they took some financial decisions in their business. And so from earning $500,000 per month, there was a day I didn't even have 1,000 naira. And then 1 month after marriage, I got pregnant. And people like us, 4 weeks after pregnancy, everybody knows, you can't even hide it. So no job was coming, nobody was employing me. I saw Shege. And then 6 months after, I got a consulting job and I told myself, never, I will never make these mistakes again. So number one, take responsibility. Number two, embrace knowledge. I am happy that these days, women are more interested. Gone are the days where the only things we are talking about is bone straight to Kilamanpe, bone straight, muzzle pull. You go into a place where you have women, and we're talking about investments, we're talking about venture capital. Look at Damilola. When we got on this call this morning, the first thing we said, congratulations, Miss. Those are the things we are talking about, knowledge. We have signed out of the school of financial news and economic news is only for men. So women, well, in the past would not just embrace knowledge, but that is going out of fashion. And then I think the third mistake that people make is we think we have time. And there are things I already mentioned. I know there's time. Once I'm 25, once I'm 30, I will start to take my finances more seriously. It starts now. From my experience, I'm 43 this year. I'm like, wow, 23 years after I left school, what happened? It was just as if I slept and I woke up. So these are mistakes that, when we put our heart to it, we can correct. And I think the fourth thing is collaboration. Women are so competitive in nature, but these days things are changing and I'm happy. And I teach the concept of co-petition rather competition. Competition means that you're cooperating and then you're competing at the same time. So we must learn to work with one another. Say, hey, Shola, please, my consultant, please come and help me. And Damilola is calling somebody in the same field to say, help me. So as women, we must live that, mindset of, we are competitors, so they must not know what I'm doing. If you want to do, they must not know what you're doing. You will make a lot of mistakes and you will not be able to achieve your goals. So collaboration is gold, knowledge is gold. You know, they will help us correct some of those mistakes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Shola. And I think I learned a new word today, competition, because you often see women go at loggerheads trying to compete with each other when no one is actually chasing us. All right. So let's try and build some kind of financial foundation. Let's talk about building financial foundation. So I'll allow Shola to rest for a bit, and I'll come to Sholakwe. Right. Hi, Sholakwe.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you once again. So talking about financial foundation, because it's easy to teach how to save, but then when the foundation is not right, you know, a lot of things can go wrong. So for you, Sholakwe, what does it mean to build a financial foundation? Where do we start from?
All right, thank you so much, Tolu, and thanks to you, Nairametrics and PlusTv for putting this together. Like I always say, we cannot overemphasize on achieving financial wellness and financial independence for women, for our society. Because like I say, no matter how much you pump, no matter how you adjust monetary policies and do all of that, there's no way you can lift over 200 million out of poverty without the right financial literacy. The money will be there and it will just be, you know, carouseling and going into all the waste and excesses that Shola had discussed. Having said that, the way I perceive, you know, financial foundations, it's funny. I was just thinking about it this morning. Typically, when you go to school, you study, then you graduate and get your certificate. Now, using that analogy, what typically happens is that while a lot of us are schooled, we are well, you know, numbered. We get, when it comes to money, when it comes to finance, we get handed the certificates in the finance economy without having the knowledge, right? Which is a, you know, and that's why we have the challenges that we typically have. So money here is the certificate, and then you do not have the knowledge, you know, to make the most of that money, to grow it, to pass it on, you know, to make it impactful, essentially. So having established that, even at 60, even at 70, you shouldn't be surprised that some people still need to go and get certified for that, you know, certificate they've been handling since age 18 or so. So I'll say first, the first step to financial foundation, as when Shola was speaking, I just said, you know what, let's just share the grace and go home. Our jobs are done here, right? You know, so without belaboring what she said, it's about making that money. It's about earning, and it's about expanding, you know, your earning sources, your income sources. I always say that 100% of zero, what does it give you? Certainly zero. Okay, so if you do not expand your means, it's just going to be nickel and dime and nickel and dime. And so you can have these great dreams, you can have these huge dreams. However, if you do not expand your sources of income, you can't move significantly from where you are. And secondly, of course, budgeting. Budgeting in a way that you do not, you know, live out of your means. We've spoken about means. And so because Shola had also spoken about budgeting, I'd like to speak about something that usually gets people off the train when between earning and budgeting, and it's lifestyle creep. And it happens to the most of us, especially women, right? Because we like, you know, and then go take. So it's lifestyle creep. You are earning and living comfortably on a salary of, let's say hypothetically, 1,000 naira, and then you landed this promotion, or, you know, maybe your business got this great gig and all of that, and your income, let's say monthly income, went up to 3,000 naira, hypothetically, and the next thing, you want to buy a brand new car, you want to move out of your neighborhood, you want to upgrade your bags, you want to, and before you know it, you've tipped yourself from an excess into debt again. So lifestyle creep is one thing that we need to be essentially, mindful of. Having said that, once you expand your means, you budget, and then you save to invest, as Shola had said, you save to invest, you keep money aside, and then you keep investing what you've kept aside. That being said, you are rightly established for a great financial future.
All right. Thank you so much, Sholape. Thank you for that. I mean, you have to live within your budget and within your expenses, right? But there's something they say about sharing life experience with people. It rings better. So I'd like to ask Sholape, for you, what life lessons have you learned in terms of building financial habits, and then how has that helped you to save or spend wisely? Can you share with us briefly?
Okay, yes. Firstly, speaking about lifestyle creep, right? I recall while I was working, even before I started, HerVest, there was a particular day, the neighborhood I was living, there was a particular day, a junior officer of mine, I think I didn't drive that day, offered to drop me at home. And she couldn't resist it. She was just sighing, owing and eyeing. And I recall she even went back because she felt like, why would she be living in this neighborhood? Meanwhile, I was critically saving to start my business HerVest then, right? So, of course, I had goals. I knew that I was saving to invest to get my business off the ground. Very well, what we were earning, what my household was earning then could, we can afford to live in the choicest, part of town, all of that. But again, we had goals and we're saving towards that. So, at times you see people, especially women, I keep emphasizing, I see it's not as if men do not do this, right? But here we are talking within the scope of women and how they handle finances. Yeah. You're just living for the mob, right? And before you realize it, in short, the best way to test the fragility of life, like Shola said, it resonated greatly with me. One of my parents is currently ailing, the other one, and I look at them, and all you can recall is how they were thriving, how they were healthy, and they could do things. And now you're essentially just, babying and rocking them, right? And even that. So when you look at that, when you look at life through that lens, you realize that, hey, yes, even if you live up to 80, up to 90, your limbs won't be that strong. And these are things that I captured in my book, so essentially you've just got to essentially plan. And then talking about life experiences, expanding an income was something that wasn't taught to me. I saw my mother live that and I jumped on it. I tell people I started my entrepreneurship journey or entrepreneurial journey at age 8. I got into secondary school 8 and came 9 years, in GSS 1. And I was a day student. I was raised in Ijebu, Ogun State, by the way. So, and you know that they say that Ijebu people are entrepreneurial. But because then my mother, who was a high school teacher, but I knew then that when she closes from school, there was this bag. In short, at the point in time, we were nursing that arm for the longest time. She would take that bag. She was selling clothes across all the ministries, and she'd go from NEPA to that. And then when she comes home, she was an home economics teacher, so we'll bake so that she can, distribute the other day. So I saw all of that. And guess what? No one told me. When I got into school, I started saving my pocket money and then, started buying biscuits and selling in school, landed in some trouble from there. But, essentially, and that's why we say that women have to be, and parents generally have to be a living example, for their children. I'm glad these days, my own children too, they are being carried along in how we're building businesses, saving, and they know that, yes, that's essentially the right way to pass on generational wealth.
Thank you very much, Sholape. As a matter of fact, I like the fact that you closed out on talking about entrepreneurship and how it's important to imbibe this culture early in our children. It's never too early, trust me. It's never too early to teach them about money, to let them know about money and what money means, because already a 2-year-old can tell when you give them money. They know the bigger one, they know the smaller one. So why not just expose them to it for them to learn about it? Thank you very much, Sholape. So I'll be coming to you, Damilola, talking about entrepreneurship. You run a startup company, and I know very well that it must have been really capital intensive to start this and run this organization firmly. So for female entrepreneurs, maybe startup founders as well that are just starting, What experience can you share with them, especially when you're planning to start a company and you need capital to start it or to run it, whether you're still working a 9-to-5 and you have your idea or you're running it already currently? Please share with us your experience, Damilola, on working as a female entrepreneur and how you can raise capital.
Okay. So my financial journey as an entrepreneur, first, I would say that, I always, this Pastor Sam's principle always, as God stuck to me since 2009, when he says, start small, but dream big, right? So at the initial stage, the dream was huge, wanted to build something as big as Airbnb, as big as Uber, but we did not think that it was going to be capital intensive at the beginning, because the idea was to start as lean as possible. Because I don't have any rich dad, or I didn't have any rich dad or parents or relative. So there wasn't any plan to even get funding at the beginning. It was, how can I start this business as lean as possible, such that, we can, scale from there. So I always say that I started this with, my house rent money. I had, given, so my mom had given me, I think 200K then for a house in Surulere. Then the landlord duped me. I got the money back. I got 150K back by police issue. And then that 150K, instead of me going to go and rent another place, I took that as the seed to build our first website, and went to Scott with a church member, right? Just similar to what, Solape said. At that point in my life, this is me as a graduate of chemical engineering. My colleagues already were working in oil and gas company. They were, working in consulting. They were earning well. They were. In fact, I was not even on social media. I remember my friend that I told me, how are you coping? Seeing your friends and your colleagues, moving ahead, and you are here suffering. Working from one place to another. Just, I was very lean, very, committed, very. And the vision was very clear, right? Because, I knew that, I wanted this to be as big as, a global company, right? So, but I was ready to do the work. So we work very lean, currently from, starting very small to building the MVP product. And, we ran the business, bootstrapped. I said yesterday in a panel that I faced that when I tried to raise funds and I was seeing that I didn't get investors that were believing what I was capable of doing, I decided to turn my customers into my investors. I found a way for customers to pay us before we even deliver the products, so that we can deliver the products and pay our suppliers. When you are under, immense conditions, you will be very creative. When you don't have money in your pocket. So that kind of culture, right? I've already formed the culture of that discipline culture of learning how to turn little to plenty. So when we got funding, it was easy for us to also continue with that same discipline culture. So really, I would say that's my own journey. We didn't start off as looking for huge capital to start the business before it was viable, before it was up and running. We started very lean. We said our first technology, even that website that we even built, we didn't even use the website. We used WhatsApp to communicate with customers. I used Excel sheets to gather my data. I used email to email the customers. Our first technology was free. So even the social media page, I did all of those things on Canva. So we were very, very creative and looking for ways to use free tools online that can help us start the business as little cash as possible.
Yeah. Wow. That's really, really deep. Thank you for sharing, Damilola. If there's anything I learned from everything she said, I think what stood out for me basically is your drive and the passion to stand true, right? For me, it's the drive that she has, because she said something about she used that rent 200K.
Yeah,
I
she
remember
was
the amount.
after they duped her, and she had to go back to the police station to try and get her.
Another episode. So yeah, it's that drive that drove her, and the fact that you always have to stay true to your dream, right? But before we proceed into the panelist session, we'll be taking a quick commercial break. Remember, we are running on TV as well as on Zoom. So we'll be taking a quick commercial break and we'll be back shortly. Don't go nowhere.
Hey guys, you're welcome to another episode of Founders Connect. Here we have conversations with amazing entrepreneurs who are leading tech startups in Africa. This is episode 4 of season 2, and I'm so stoked that we've gotten this far. This means we've done 14 videos so far. Now in this episode, we're going to be speaking to Damilola of Shuttlers. Hi Dami.
Hi.
How you doing? Are you excited? Okay, so we're going to learn all we can about Dami today, about her business, about her journey, and whatever else you want to be able to share. Awesome. All right, guys, so stay and watch the video.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Pisitimi, a change maker, professional, and creative who is passionate about growing people and growing businesses. Like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and please always share my videos. It promises to always be impactful and insightful.
Hi, Dami. So let's start. When people are dating and they do, tell me about yourself. So tell me about yourself. Like, who's Dami? Where do you come from? What's your background story? How would you describe yourself in 5 phrases? Whichever one you want to answer, however you want to answer it, that's fine.
I think this past week, I was telling somebody that you think I'm a small girl. I'm not, though. I'm an old woman in this. So I think because I grew up, amongst really older folks, my sisters and my parents, I've kind of added about 10 to 20 years.
This Saturday, 25th of March, PlusTv Africa, in partnership with Nairametrics, will be discussing money management and financial planning, featuring Sola Akinpelu, CEO and co-founder of HerVest, Damilola Olokesusi, co-founder and CEO of Shuttlers, Sola Adesakin, founder, Smart Stewards. Time, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, live on DSTV channel 408 and start time 308. We'll also be live on YouTube, youtube.com/PlusTVAfrica.com.
Hello, my name is Sola Adesakin, for the records. Yes. Totally glad to be here. So 20 years ago, I qualified as a chartered accountant. And I was excited. Yes, it's okay to clap if you want to clap for me. Yeah. I was excited because I'd always dreamt of becoming an accountant, becoming so wealthy, controlling figures, vacationing around the world, living the baby girl life, even though that is a current time phenomenon. In those days, there was nothing like baby girl life. We just wanted to live an amazing life. All of those things we saw in movies, vacationing, planes, business class, just going around the world. Now, I got my first qualification, got the second one, got the third one, and I got accounting qualifications from 3 different continents. How many continents? 3. However, I couldn't reconcile my qualifications and my financial status. So I was a chartered accountant. I am still a chartered accountant, but my finances were scattered and all over the place. So that baby girl life was not materializing. So first,
this Saturday, 25th of March, PlusTv Africa, in partnership with Nairametrics, will be discussing money management and financial planning, featuring Sola Akinpelu, CEO and co-founder of HerVest, Damilola Olokesusi, co-founder and CEO of Shuttlers, Sola Adesakin, founder, Smart Stewards. Time, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, live on DSTV channel 408 and start time 308. We'll also be live on YouTube, youtube.com/PlusTVAfrica.com.
Thank you for staying with us, and we're still on the Global Money Week special, and we still have our panelists with us, and Damilola was speaking to us, but this time we're going into another panel session where we're talking about how to manage your money as female. So Damilola, I want to find out from you, as a woman, there's so many responsibilities that we have. How do we draw the line from meeting all our basic needs and responsibilities and then saving for the rainy day?
I think I think number one thing is the values of the individual, right? If number one, if discipline, I would say discipline is the bedrock of drawing the line, right? And I think that delaying gratification as well is something that's also important. And a couple of other things. So like I mentioned earlier that we women sometimes we try to put on a facade for other people just so that maybe we can look more prestigious or than the other. All of those ingredients, put them in the same bucket. These are the things that help us, that can deter us from not joining the line. But if you're disciplined, you know how to say no, you have a budget, you can plan, you know what your goal is, and you know how to get there, and you put a budget around your personal finance or your business finance, and you're disciplined enough to follow it. And then you know how to delay gratification. When you see somebody, maybe your colleague or someone around you has already maybe bought a gold wristwatch, for example, and you know how to say that, no, I don't need this now. Maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, I would get it. That is a good, attribute to also have that will help you draw the line, because day in, day out, there are so many distractions, and there's still responsibilities from managing a business, managing your family, both extended or nuclear family, or friends and families that you need to support or help. So just having a discipline around all of these things would help an individual try to draw the line and help you stay financially healthy. That's what I would say.
Tolulope, do you have a question before I carry on?
You can carry on.
Okay, great. So I just also wanted to find out from you. So here you are, this discipline that you talk about, I don't know, it's not everyone that has it or can even stick to it. So what are the things that what are the habits that women should have from an early age? From somebody's probably watching us now, she's already in her in her 40s, and she's thinking, look, I've made so many mistakes in the past, I've spent money, I've done all the fudgy there is. What are the habits she needs to start imbibing now to save for her future and for her children's future?
Okay, I think it starts from what you want, right? Very early on, I realized that not a lot of people want a lot of things, and it's okay, right? So let's start. What's your vision? What do you want to become in life? When I was leaving secondary school, going to university, I was really great at maths and great at chemistry. My parents said, oh, recipe for chemical engineering. So the goal then was just to work in an oil and gas company, get married and live happily ever after. And I attended a program. I always say this because that's the foundation of my entrepreneurial story. Daystar Leadership, DLA, right? And that was the first time I heard something about, your goal, your mission. That was the first time at age 19, I retrospected about that I'm only here for a particular time. You're not going to get second chance. You're not going to come here 3 other times. You're here for a period. And as a day goes by, you're already getting older. Like you can't, maximum 100 years, or maybe let's even say 200 years, you're still going to live this earth, right? That gave me some sense of awareness that I had to take, control of my life before, it gets too late. And because, I grew up amongst older people, right? Right now, I have a stepbrother that is 50-something years old, 40-something years old. My close sisters are 50-something years old. My parents are 70-something years old. So I could see, I learned from their own mistakes. And I saw that, okay, if I go this path, this might be a better path for me. If I do this, this might be a better thing for me. So I decide. There's a personal, I don't think anybody can teach anybody how to be disciplined. It's based on what you want, and as an individual, do you want to be successful? Okay, how successful? How big? What do you want? Do you just want to have, a small house and a family? You don't want to have a business, that's fine. But if you want something great for your life, you want to leave a legacy, if you want to, build wealth, if you want to be able to help a generation, if you want to make impact, if you want to help people, then you need to be disciplined. There's a season and time for everything. There's time for planting, there's time for harvest, there's time for watering, there's time for tilling the ground. When you understand those seasons, that just helps without anybody preaching to you or telling you or coaching you or reminding you. Whenever you even find yourself, not derailing, you come back again because you remember your goal and you remember what you want to achieve. So that's how I'm able to, imbibe that discipline and imbibe, that's, value.
Thank you very much, Damilola. Now that we talk about this, but I want to reach out to Sola Akinpelu. Sola, are you there with us?
I'm here, Funmi.
Okay, fantastic. I wanted to ask you a question, two questions actually, but the first one is about, we just talked about discipline, and even though Dami says that, nobody can really teach you about that, as an adult, but you're a parent, and you talked about how you started being an entrepreneur from when you were 8 years old. What are the things that even as mothers, as parents, do we begin to imbibe and consciously teach our children? It'd be nice for you to, if you could point out maybe like 3 or 4 tips, because you're a mother now and you also learned from your mother. What are the things that we can begin to teach our children consciously so that they begin to learn about money? I like when Sola Adesakin said money is a servant and we need to tell it how to go. But how do we begin to consciously, as parents, seeing the things that we have learned from our own parents, whether good or bad, and then begin to teach our own children?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, I'm sure that we all hear about the, piggy bank thing. Get them a piggy bank, let them, and it's quite good, right? It's basic. But most importantly, it's about mindset. I think Damilola just mentioned that it was at 19 that she now had to be retrospective and then question, why is she here? What does she? And the truth is that, not everybody gets that light bulb moment that early. You might say 19 is late, but 19 is quite, still early for a lot of people. Some people don't get there until 40. Of course, HerVest with an inclusive fintech for women. So we have the privilege of working with women across different ages. And I see people who say that, I wish I was like this. I wish I had done a lot of things. So basically, we owe it to our children, or to young people around us to help them reorientate their mindsets. And I'll tell you an example. My son is 8, he likes gaming a lot. And there's this particular Roblox that, a lot of people his age are really about. And he's always, glued to his Roblox. They get their tabs on weekends. And at a point, he started telling me that he wants Robux. So Robux is the currency that they use on Roblox to buy things and then you go to the next level, or to buy some, how games are usually designed, right? And he kept telling me, and I said, dude, first, you're broke. Then secondly, have you considered that when we buy these things, somebody's getting rich somewhere? So that way, and he said, that's true, mommy. So that means I can build a game too, and then people buy. I said, exactly. And guess what? Right now, he was on Scratch, then that's, it sped up his rate of assimilating. Now we got him another person, and now he's saying that he wants to be an ethical hacker. Like, the guy is really, really gingered. He wants to learn. So that way we've been able to convert, his mindset from a consumer mindset to a producer mindset, right? So that is critical, and it is key in young ones. I spoke about, all of this in my book as well. You help them from a mecentric thing. Sola mentioned earlier, right? I don't know, I'd always been someone who, I believe in collaborations. I believe in, cooperating to do it. It doesn't mean, I believe that I believe that as a Nigerian, we are all lucky to be Nigerians. Over 200 million people. Come on. you have like 10 countries in one. So there's enough space for everyone. And so we should encourage this in our children to, from being me-centric to being we-centric, you know, and that way they are able to collaborate with people. So it's more, you know, usually about mindset. And then we can now go to, okay, you have a piggy bank, you're keeping money there, and, you know, we are investing that money on your behalf. So it's usually about mindset. And then another thing is that, of course, we know that children, they are very impressive. They are very impressionable, right? So whatever you do, I cannot tell my son now that you should do this, and then, you know, he sees that I'm building. You know, there was this day I did this, so there was a social media thing. I said I wanted to run with them, and he said that, I said, oh, that I'm putting in for a job. He said, oh, mommy, but you are a CEO at HerVest, you are country director of Women in Tech. Is this job going to be a CEO? Because it's got to be CEO. Do you understand? So he knows already that it's important, you know, to build. He knows already that he's only when you are able to, because again, you know, Damilola said something, and I think I should put this out, especially for relationships or marriages. Typically opposites attract, and we've had cases where people will say, oh, a man will say, my wife isn't entrepreneurial, or my wife isn't really audacious with her goals, or the woman will say, it's my man that isn't audacious with, you know. And the truth is, most of the time you have to sit. I know you've not asked me this, but I know that it'd be good for people out there, because again, the children see this. It's important to sit with your partners before, during, after, wherever, to actually extract what they want to be. And like Damilola said, some people just want a decent 3-bedroom, okay, maybe duplex max, you know, they don't want to travel every time. They are not interested in all of that. And I think that it would also be unfair to now oyster, or, you know, put, you know, your own aspirations upon them, right? So especially in places where families are blended. So again, it's just important to ensure that the children have the right mindset towards money, right, earlier on in life. Like I said, financial literacy or financial wellness is, unfortunately, is the place where a lot of people get certified, get the certificate that is money, without getting the right education. So it's better that we speed them up on the right financial education before they start getting certified, at least they start getting access to money.
Thank you very much, Shola. So just before I let you go, let's talk about women in the 9-to-5. How do women, not only just women 9-to-5, because how do women begin to negotiate better salaries and better benefits for themselves? Because, you know, research has been done. Many women earn lesser than their colleagues, even when sometimes they even get to do more work than their colleagues. So how do they begin to get this negotiation skill? And the second question, so you can answer it together, is the fact for women in 9-to-5, how do we, you know, begin to manage? And I say we because I'm also in that, you know, line. How do we begin to manage our funds and also ensure that we save as well? Save and invest.
Yeah, save and then start and then save to invest.
Yes.
You know, there's really no way, and I always say this, that you talk about the economic gender gap without talking about the many, you know, gaps that affect women. As you've rightly said, income inequality is a thing, but it's the symptom of so many inequality that stems right from children out of school. My husband is in, you know, the development sector, and they deal with children out of school. And the children out of school is like a gender issue, because most of the time you find more girls out of school than boys. And that became even more serious after COVID, because they had to let the girls stay home, you know, to look after, to contribute on the farms, to look after their younger siblings, to fetch water and all of that. Even water and hygiene issues. Usually the period poverty is a thing. So you look at all of this, and then it reduces the numbers of girls in school. And then when it comes to, okay, women, ladies getting into career, you go on maternity leave. I went on maternity leave twice, and I tell you that the 2 times I had to resume, I cried. I legit like cried, not internal cry. I was crying. The second time I was so distraught. I ran into a car right there at Onikon. The guy just, by the time the guy saw me, I just said, yeah, I'm just going back to work. My daughter is just so weak and all of that. And so there are so many policies that affect the woman, and there are so many biases and assumptions too, you know, that so you go in, by the time you start rolling around with your tummy, someone just perceives that, you know what, let's just leave her. You know, you are already giving below average of what you're meant to give. You know, so many of those things. And I think Sola had mentioned that someone went on maternity leave 7 times or so. I'm sure that maybe it took the grace of God for her to still, you know, have a career or retire successfully from one. So with all of this, income inequality is a thing. But guess what? There's something we say at HerVest, and it's an annual event we have. We featured Shola last year. We're so grateful, a lot of women, and it's called Value Up. Because we've realized that there is certainly no way you can, it's not a gender issue. You've just got to, there's some people who say, oh, are you now encouraging women to, you know, be more aggressive? I said, no, the level playing field is not level, right? No matter what. So you just have to, you know, maybe the best way to analyze that is like, you know, pad. And what do you pad so that it's the level playing field is by padding upon a lot of value. That's no way, no matter what, even when they look at you, every time, you know, they look at you, it's a pretty face. And then they say, oh, pretty face. Okay, maybe she deserves a place in the rooms because it's a pretty face. Oh, she can speak well, maybe because, but by the time you open your mouth and by the time they see the amount of value in your head, in your soul, in your heart, you know, it is not, it's nobody, even if they say they don't like your face, they'll say, you know what, I don't like her guts, I don't like her face, but guess what? She's full of value. And that answers the question. You cannot just wake up one morning and say, you know what, I want to negotiate my salary. Trust me, I have lost a job because I got married. I had just a, you know, cute wedding. I didn't invite people. I went on leave. I went back. The next thing they were asking me to leave. You know, it was years later that I realized that they thought I was pregnant and they felt like I couldn't bring enough to that system again. So what I'm saying is that in most cases, anyways, you are so disadvantaged. But if you value up so well, right, there's no way that, you know, you would ask and they wouldn't give, because trust me, as an employer, there are some people that if they leave, you know, their roles or they leave the organization today, I know that, oh, that is, we lost something. Do you understand? And there are some people that they leave, you won't even shake your body, like we say in Niger parlance. So my question is, in which of these roles do you want to belong? Essentially, for females, you know, to be able to negotiate really well, essentially you have to value up. And aside from valuing up, a lot of us, we value the value, but then there's no confidence to, you know, ask or make the request. So, you know, confidence is thing. Once you've done, you're sure that you've done all you're meant to do, you are contributing so much. There's someone up the confidence, right? And, you know, go for it. I sit as an employer now, and I see men, I see women come for interviews. And trust me, most of the men who are less qualified come boldly, you know, make a huge ask and all of that. And I see women sit in that same interview chair and cower, and they are unsure. And then when they do the ask, do you understand? So I've seen this from both perspectives of being an employee or an employer. So we certainly need to, you know, reinforce more confidence in us. I think the question, and then value up. The second question you had asked is, you know, how do we save and then towards investment? Firstly, because I have seen this work, even for me, automate your savings. As we said, you know, money usually, it doesn't have its mind of its own. And black tax, as evidenced, I think it was Damilola that mentioned, someone asked for, you know, is a thing, is on all of us. Pink tax, as I say, affects a lot of us women, right? There's this joke going around now that on Instagram, you just see a dress that you know that if you make this dress, maybe everything would be like 15,000, but they just say, oh, this is Omolayo dress, or this is Unaujefe dress, and then it is suddenly 40,000. Is it the name we are paying for? Do you understand? You know, in the subletting, that is some part of pink tax, that, you know, this is a shaving stick, for instance, is black, another one is purple, or, you know, it's some nice color, and then it's just expensive, and like, it's the same function that it does. And there's another one that I made up, I said is Ada tax, right? And that is the one that, you know, essentially, especially for first female daughters in most families, at times it's not essentially the first female, maybe you're just responsible or you're empathic, and then everything just comes on your shoulder. Oh, mommy is ill. Talk to Damilola. Oh, grandma swallow result is Damilola. Hey, this is the Shola. Oh, this person is ailing. Just drive him straight to this person's house. Do you understand? So you have to be really, really aware of this, and that is, in that awareness, automate your savings, pay yourself first, pay your future first. Otherwise, there is no amount of money. We've seen, you know, some organizations, you know, and interestingly, I still sat with a VC, you know, manager, I think about 2 weeks ago, and he said again that the most thriving companies in their portfolio are the female-led ones. And he said, but the problem I have with you people is that you don't talk, you know, as much about what you do like the men. Do you understand? So what that means is that, you know, women are better managers. Forget whatever anybody has said there. You should get a copy of my book and read. You sign up on HerVest. We have these conversations there. Women are better managers. As a matter of fact, you know, Africa itself was matriarchal in the pre-colonial days. So essentially, you have to automate your savings, because that way you have paid yourself. It still happens to me. I just see my balance, and you know, there are times that your balance just reduces and you're wondering, and I'm like, oh, what happened? And then, oh, I then get the notification from HerVest, and then I realize, and you know, the number of times that savings towards party. So that's how you can save successfully. It helps towards saving successfully towards your goals. And then you save to invest. I still, you know, there are different schools that say, oh, maybe stocks, maybe not. But I always say that stocks, you know, especially when you are younger, is really good, especially for the long term. There's this rule about stocks that, okay, for instance, when you're 20, you should have like, and, you know, don't quote me, still talk to your financial advisors, that when you're 20, you know, you should have like 80% of your investments in stocks. When you are 40, you should have about 60%. So some, you know, like an 100% thing like that. So that means that if you are 35 now, you want to have like 65. But again, and there are so many digital fintech apps now that enable you to invest in Nigerian stocks, in, you know, foreign stocks. You are spoiled for choice. Nobody has an excuse these days. And you can also invest in fixed incomes too, right? The safest T-bills, you know, FGM bonds and all of that, mutual funds, and there are just so many options. There's impact investment, such that we one of the ones we offer on HerVest, which is peer-to-peer lending. You lend to women like yourselves. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you all the time, actually. I need to interrupt you because of time. We're running out of time.
Okay, all right. If you leave me, I'll continue.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Because we have to wrap up this session very quickly. I have one question for Sola Adesakin before we wrap up this session. Sola, Sola Adesakin, I just wanted to find out from you, I know there are many financial skills that women should have, but can you just mention the 3 top financial skills women should have, and how do we acquire them?
All right, thank you. I would answer that question with an acronym. Okay. And I call it CREST, C-R-E-S-T. So I'm going to add 2 to the 3. Now, the first thing, in no particular order, well, by the order of the acronym, is collaborative skills. So I'll give a very practical example. By profession, I am a chartered accountant, but by passion, I'm a personal finance coach. And I call myself the accountant, the global accountant, because I've got my accounting qualifications from 3 continents. I'm a fellow of ICANN, fellow of ACCA, I have a CPA from Canada, and all of those things. But these days, I don't practice accounting as much as I do personal financial literacy and whatnot. But don't forget, I still pay my subscriptions. I'm still an accountant. I still do trainings. And many people will say, now we want you to do our books. I'm like, well, I like accounting, but I'm not as passionate as I used to be. So I sort of created an organization, or created a partnership with a friend who is an accounting enthusiast. So we work together. I get the jobs, I bring in the leads. She does the technical bit with 2 other people that we employed, and we share the money. Do you see? That's collaboration. So I literally do not even see some of those clients. I don't know what is happening, but because I know that She's very solid. She knows her onions, and we make money. So I think for women, we need those collaborative skills. That's number one. Number two, risk management skills. I was glad when Solape was talking about investments. We all know how the investment terrain has been in Nigeria and generally around the world in the last 1 or 2 years. Like 2 weeks ago, they were talking about the Silicon Valley Bank. I was just looking at it. And all of a sudden, I realized that indirectly, we have funds in companies that we angel invested in. So risk management has got to be one skill that women must have. Before I put my money in this investment, what are the risks? How do I mitigate my risks? When I teach financial risks in financial literacy, I talk about 4 types of risks: income risk, expense risk, asset risks, and liability risks. That's a whole topic by itself. So women must, learn to ask the right questions. What are the risks involved? Don't just say they said I should bring 300,000 and they will invest it in 30 days, it will become 900,000. Learn to ask those questions. Now, the next skill is earning skill. And it's important. Remember when I was talking earlier on, I'm like, you are a function of what you earn. Your ability to build wealth is a function of what you make. You can't, if you don't make money, you can't build wealth. You can't meet your family's needs. So these days I teach people, hey, look at it. How can I monetize my skills? As an employee, can I add my skills to what I currently do? Can I be a business owner? Can I be an investor? So you must sharpen those earning skills. The next set of skills, the 2 extra, saving and investment skills, have become important. Again, these are not the days when you say there's one investment somewhere, you just put your money there. You must learn to invest based on your income. You must learn to invest in different asset classes. You must learn to save and know when to move money from your savings into your investment. And of course, the final skill is technology skills. My dad passed on 2 years ago at 80, yes. And he was on all social media platforms. Oh, wow. The day I saw him following me on Instagram, I was like, sir, what are you looking for, Gonkono? You're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. I will post something, he'll be the one to come and say, no, it's not like that. And he said something that never left me. He said, your generation is blessed to have a plethora of all of these things. And I'm glad to still be alive, so I would use it. I still see women who say, no, I don't understand. I cannot even understand that app. You need technology skills because that is the future. That is where the money is. So don't forget CREST skills, collaboration, risk management, earning skills, saving and investment skills, and technology skills. I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. It does. Fantastic. I really love it. CREST, collaborative skills, learning how to take risks, earning skills, savings and investing, and technology skills. Thank you so much, Shola. And I want to just reach out to our listeners and people watching us. If you have joined us via the Zoom link, because we're going to have a Q&A session. So it's not just Tolu and I asking questions in the studio. You have an opportunity to ask your question. So if you're joining us via Zoom, you can please put your questions on the chat box so that you can ask your questions shortly. So over to Tolu, we're taking out the 3rd session. We have 3 sessions today. So Tolu, over to you.
Well done, Funmi. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us so far. So quickly, we'll be going into the 3rd session. And I think Sola Adesakin has actually whet her appetite already with investment and savings plan. So this 3rd session is about investment opportunities portfolio and diversification for female. All right. So still on Sola Adesakin, I'll be coming to you. What are those investment opportunities that women can take? You said something earlier when you were mentioning CREST about women's risk portfolio. I know very much that women are not so prone to taking risk. As a matter of fact, it has to be zero or little risk. So what are those investment options that are available for women to vie into?
All right, thank you so much, Tolu. As a founder of an investment club, and who has seen a lot of things in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years. Before I start to talk about investments for women, where should I put my money? I want to appeal to everybody on this call to make out time to understand the concept of investing. First of all, I am begging you, because we have seen many stories that touch the heart. I have seen relationships go sour. I have seen people lose their life savings. I've been to court in my life in the last 2 years more than I've ever been. In fact, places I've never been to, I've been there because of this issue of investing. So I would say before you start to invest, consider your financial situation, consider your goals, which we talked about earlier on, consider your age, and consider your risk temperament. Now, don't invest. I mean, somebody comes to meet you, somebody who earns ₦1 million comes to meet you, yeah, there's one investment somewhere, you have to give them 200,000. Don't forget that 200,000 out of 1 million is what percentage? 20% for that person. You earning 100,000 will not go and take your 2 months savings and go and put it in the same. If it fails, that person still has a buffer. So you must invest based on your investment, on your financial capacity. Your goals are important. Your age is important. Somebody who is 40 or 50 cannot invest the way a 25-year-old can invest, or somebody who is in pre-retirement phase. And of course, your risk temperament. Some people are very conservative. They don't want to lose their money. Some people are moderate, and some people are aggressive. There are tinier subs in between those three categories of risk temperament. But I just wanted to make you realize that it is not just about the doing. You must know. And I also wanted to say something about investments being no risk, or, there's no investment that is no risk anywhere in the world. Now, we coaches will say, yeah, some are low risk. I totally agree. But even the lowest of the lowest risky investments could actually turn out bad. For example, in Ghana, they issued some bonds, recently, in which they have defaulted. In Nigeria, our government will say, yes, saving bonds, but government can fail. Look at the case of Venezuela. So any money or any investment you do, just, have it at the back of your mind that this money may come back and it may not come back. I just thought to mention those things. So what are the things that we can invest in as female, as women in this age? I mean, maybe 2 years ago, the classes of investment I would have given would have been different, but I'm talking about what is currently happening. I know some of us are young and we still have a long time ahead of us, but this is what I would say. What asset classes would I suggest? Number one, cash and cash equivalent. Now, there are some risk, the investments that are low risk, there are some that are high risk. Now, cash and cash equivalents will be like fixed deposits. It will be like your money market mutual funds, which of course a lot of asset management companies offer. What it means is that low risk, and they are near cash. So when you need the money, you can easily say, you know what, I'm not doing again, 30 days, I'm not doing again, just give my money, and you can turn it to cash. So you should have a bit of that in your portfolio. I call it your portfolio stabilizer. Do you see? When push comes to shove, you can just go back and say, I'm not doing again, give me my money. So that's one class. The second class is what I will call fixed income asset class. And they would include things like saving bonds, treasury bills, treasury certificates. And they will tell you, why are they fixed income? They will tell you that, over the next 1 year, you're earning 18%. I know in Nigeria, they do a lot of, the DMO, Debt Management Office, issues saving bonds from the government every month. Depending on your financial capacity, those are small things that you can start from. And then the good thing is that these days you can even do it in dollars. I mean, I've had a dollar mutual fund running with a particular bank for the last 5 years, and I've been building on it. Now, I'm not saying it is Eurobond, it is fixed income dollar mutual fund, because those things also, they could be tricky. You do some Eurobonds, and then when you want to exit, the market is something. This particular one is a dollar mutual fund that is low risk. So that's fixed income. The third asset class will be stocks and equities. And I think for the long haul, I mean, this is quite risky in the sense that when you need to exit or when you need your money, the market might be unhappy or unpleasant at that time. But long haul, you can buy equities, either in Nigeria or, we teach foreign stocks. I see a question, somebody said, How do I buy stocks? There are a number of apps that you can use to buy stocks from Nigeria, US stocks. And the beautiful thing is that you can even buy stocks fractionally these days. So, for example, Warren Buffett's company is called Berkshire Hathaway. And one single share is about $400,000 as at the last time I checked. But these days you can buy $10 worth, $20 worth every month, and you start to stack it. Those companies that you like. I invest in companies that I use. Amazon, they sell my book. When I go to the US, I pay them, so I buy their stocks. I've used iPhones in the last 13 years. Just examples. I'm not saying that is what you should adopt, but there are apps that would help you buy some of those stocks here. And then you can buy ETFs. ETFs are exchange traded funds. There's no time to go into that. You can read up on that, and you can do index funds within the stock asset class. Another asset class is real estate. These days, the opportunities to crowdfund, right? If you can, of course, buy a land, buy a property by yourself. If not, look for people that you can, together crowdfund and do some of those things. So those are the conventional asset classes. And of course, you have commodities. Let's not even go into cryptocurrency. There are other things you can do. You can do angel investing. We have put funds together to, invest in companies, startups, and all of that. But practically, if I were in my 20s, these days, I will do a lot of dollar mutual fund. And, there are funds that you can start with $1,000 and then you start to add to it incrementally, $500. I will do ETFs. They're good ETFs in the US that, I want to hold them for the next 20 years. I will put a bit of my portfolio in cash and cash equivalent so that when I need the money, I'll always get it. But again, there's no hard and fast rule. Let me leave this as the final one. I put up a question on our Facebook group yesterday for women. And I said, is gold still a viable investment? 16 years ago, I had a friend who kept buying gold. When I was doing my own shenanigans of spending, she kept buying gold. These days, she wants to travel, she just sells just one or two tiny ones, $5,000. So I think those are areas that we can also consider. But do your research, follow those who know, ask questions. Investing, personal finance, as the word implies, is personal, first of all. What suits you, what suits your goals, what suits your future plans, and all of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sola Adesakin. You've touched on quite a lot of things that I think I'll just like to highlight a few. She talked about stocks, commodities. She talked about real estate. She talked about fixed income. But one thing that stood out for me in everything Sola said is financial journey is personal. And you have to be ready to take up that journey. So we can have sessions like these and teach women financial literacy, but it's very obvious that you have to be ready to go on that journey because you need all this knowledge. Even when people teach you how to invest, you still have to read up about it. So I'm going to pick up one of the investment options that Sola Adesakin gave us, talking about angel investments. Damilola, you're the tech, should I say tech guru here? So talking about angel investments, right? How do you see angel investors as being a viable option to invest in, and what are some of the privileges that this amounts to for females? Damilola.
Yes, at the early stage, angel investors are like, let's say some HNIs, some professionals or entrepreneurs that, they've identified, this part of investment as an opportunity to invest. And they know, because in fact, this one is even the highest risk. This is high risk, high reward. They know that, it's just, a show of, for example, for VC funding at the early stage, like seed or pre-seed, when angel investors are investing, most times it's not an equity investment yet. So they're not even yet a shareholder. So is it that maybe they use a safe instrument or a convertible note? So it's just paper, you just send money and then you sign. So you don't even have, you're not even have any evidence, you're not even in CAC document, you don't have any share, you don't have any evidence of having shares in the company, but you've invested. And just hoping that you've made the right choice in investing in the right, founder. So it's a good opportunity for female founders or male founders to access funding through their network. If you have 10 people that can give you 5K, that's already 50K, and can help you take your business from maybe 100 customers to 1,000 customers. So I see a very huge opportunity there. I think people now are even using their community to also raise funds as well. That's also allowing your customers to be angel investors in your business as well. As entrepreneurs, myself, I've also invested in a friend that has a business in the north. He has a biogas solution. So it's just 2 million, 1 million, 500K there that you can be part of a startup, because in 4 years or in 5 years, what that investment promises you is a possible exit, either through selling the business or IPOing or even an additional funding, maybe at a particular milestone where you can exit all or part of your fund. So I see it as a very good opportunity, either as an entrepreneur to invest or as a founder that wants to get funding. I think there are also platforms like Get Equity now that individuals can go on, take maybe like 10,000 naira, 20,000 naira, and be able to invest in businesses by crowdsourcing that fund together. So yeah, it's a good opportunity to be part of VC funding.
All right, thank you so much, Dami. I see some of the opportunities or advantages of being an angel investor. And from what Dami said, there's no amount too little. So it's like you putting money somewhere. There are risks to it, definitely, but then in the long run, your money is working for you in terms of equities. So talking about funding, Damilola, I want to take you further in terms of funding, because we don't just have entrepreneurs listening to this session, we have startup founders as well. So how, for Shuttlers, you raised $1.6 million sometimes in 2021, yeah. So how would you advise a startup founder, a female now, trying to raise funds? How do they attract this investment opportunities to themselves?
So, I mean, knowing my own journey, I know, and every person's journey is very peculiar to them. It doesn't have to, there's no one way that fits all, right? My own journey, I tried to raise funds at the beginning. I couldn't get funding. And so I got 3 million naira. I won a competition, so I got 3 million naira in grants. That was kind of like our first, seed funding, although we started before the 3 million naira. And along the line, we also got some grants, right? So that allowed us to, we've already generated that funding already in revenue before we even went to raise funds. So I'm a believer of turning your customers to your investor, because for seeking for investment, I do not also like when founders are at the mercy of the investors. You should not be desperate to get money from investors, because it can easily be cheated, because business is already hard. Doing this in Nigeria is already hard. Solving a problem that nobody has solved before is already hard. So bringing in an investor that you don't have probably the same aligned values, that would maybe want to control the business or control the founders, would just frustrate the founder and probably lead to the demise of the business. So I would say that you should, number one thing is to get good traction. And getting traction, number one is revenue and recurring revenue. Not that you have revenue in January. I'm not sure if February is not sure, March is not sure. You need to have recurring revenue and recurring paying customers. That's when you know that you have a viable business. If you have an app, and you have a website, you have a nice pitch deck, but you don't have paying customers, you don't have revenue, it's not yet a business. And with maybe if you're in Silicon Valley, maybe because it's more happening with the tech ecosystem, maybe right now, maybe you might not even get funding, but maybe probably like 5 years ago, they might fund ideas or maybe lofty ideas. But right now, with all the economic downturn, with what's happening in Silicon Valley, happening in the tech ecosystem, now investors are even asking for show us the path to profitability. It's no longer about you can vanity metrics. I have 1 million users. I have 20,000 downloads. I have 50,000. Where? Please show us the money. So the traction is very important in hitting and attracting the right investors. There are other things that investors also look at. The team, right? They don't also want a key man risk because they are investing so much in you. They don't want a situation whereby when somebody is not available, the whole company fails, right? So the team is also important. Also the product that you are trying to the business idea, how big is that market, and how is that business solution a Panadol or is a surgery to a problem? I heard this yesterday, right? How important is this problem and how big is that market? That will also determine the type of investors you attract and the type of amount as well you'll be able to attract as well. I think those 3 points will help any founder here to really position themselves for investment. And I would say lastly about discipline. From day one, we ensure that all our revenues we're passing through our business accounts. If you cannot, most times investors always say, oh, women don't know their numbers, they don't know their revenue, they don't know their margin, they don't know. This is very simple. Costs, a selling price minus cost price is equals to your margin. You need to know the unit economics of your business. If your investor asks you, somebody wants to give you 20 million naira and they ask you, how much did you make last month? You don't know. How much did you make last year? You're not sure. How much was your margin? So how do you want them to be confident that if they give you 1 million naira, you can turn it into 10 million naira? So these are the small things that we as either female founders or male founders need to ensure that we put together to prepare us for investment.
All right. Thank you so much, Damilola, for sharing that experience. Major lesson to be learned there, I think, is the fact that don't run ahead of your pace. There are steps to raising funds, and you must ensure that you are at that right point where you are, where you're expected to raise funds before you start raising questions about raising funds. And she said something about ensure you have consistent inflow of revenue, right? And then you also have customers before you start raising funds. So we are wrapping up very quickly. Start sending your questions into the Q&A chat box. So we'll take one last question from Solape. So Solape, I'll come to you very quickly, and this is like our final question before we go into the Q&A session. And this is bringing down this conversation to everyday women's struggles, right? We have women face responsibilities, siblings here and there, family demands, and of course, you still have to keep up as a woman to look good. And like they said, like the saying always goes, it's someone that has eaten that will be thinking of investments, right? So how can women think of long-term investments, or what can they do? What measures can women put in place to save on a long term, considering the fact that the revenue or resources are not always available? Very quickly, Shalapi.
Yes, I'll still start from where you are, right? Most of the time when we look about making income, we typically look at it that, oh, I see people say, I don't even have anything.
Yeah.
And I can go on and list about 10 things that you can do, without 0 naira, without 0 kobo. I see people on social media give comments on almost every post and all of that. You have that data, yet you still complain that you're broke. On that same social media, you can drop ship, for instance, right? You establish a supplier, you keep putting them on your WhatsApp status, on your Instagram, you identify buyer, the buyer pays, the payment is X+1, you pay X to the supplier, the one becomes yours, right? So there are tons of opportunities out there. Then speaking about diversification, I also consider diversification in investment as a good way of managing risks. And as said by the other panelists, you have to examine your own risks. Typically, the way the risk works, it's a converse, way. most of the time with investments, the higher the returns, the higher the gains, so are the risks, right? I would say that when you're still young, try as much as possible to, if you can, and depending on, if you're young, you can, participate or still diversify in such a way that, okay, you have some, for instance, stocks are risky assets, for instance, but have some of those and all of that. But the moment you are going into your retirement phases and all of that, you want to be more careful, and all. So I'll just say essentially that, yes, in making the funds, you don't necessarily have to have a lot of money. You can start from where you are and start piling up. And then in managing, your portfolio, always have the risk factor in each asset you're considering. Always have that in mind. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very, very much, Solape. Funmi, you'll agree with me. It's been a really
interesting session.
Interesting and insightful question. But then we have a whole lot of questions to answer in the Q&A.
Yes.
So
we already have a first question already. Someone is asking this question. She said, he or she just put anonymous. She doesn't want us to know, he or she to know our name. But the person said, please ask the speakers, where can a person of the age of 39 years old begin to invest her money into? So Solape, Damilola, I don't know which one of you would like to take up that question. She wants to find out where she's 39, so where can she begin to invest her money into?
Well, so this person to me sounds like someone who, and I hope I'm correct, who is quite new to the world of investing. So I'd say that don't go it alone. Join investment communities, investment clubs. Smart Stewards is one. HerVest is one. Though we are more, we offer more of the tools, but trust me, Smart Stewards does more of the handholding. So regardless of whichever one you join, you are best, you are in great company, and you can be assured that you'll be guided, towards investment that you can participate in. We've said it. Also, I'll just state to that person that you might want to start with fixed income. It is safer, it's safer for a starter, like yourself. So look at, mutual funds around you, bonds, treasury bills, and all of that. And even though people will still say, core investors will tell you that no matter what, every investment has a form of risk, but those are, assets that have proven through the years that, your capital and the gains on it is not eroded in any way.
All right. Thank you so much, Solape. There's actually no right age to start saving. There's no age too early. There's also no age too late. So you can always start from wherever you are. So we also have a question here. Is it safe to save without a goal, considering the fact that you're disciplined with your saving? I'd like Damilola to touch on that. Is it safe to save without a goal?
To save without a goal?
Yes.
I mean, like what I said earlier, I feel like we are driven by our, like a goalpost, I took part in a game where, there's a puzzle, right? And they removed the image that we're trying to put together. When you remove the image, you really scramble. You don't really know what you're doing. But if you give it the image they are trying to put together, then you know what you are trying to do. And in 5 minutes, you start putting pieces together. That's the same thing about life. Like, if you don't know what you are aiming for, you would not really be able to measure or know if you're growing or not growing. So I think that the best thing is to have a goal, so that you can know if you're going towards your goal, or if it's reducing, or if you're increasing, or if you are growing or not. So I think the best thing is to have a goal towards savings, towards investments, towards running a business, towards everything in life, really.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Damilola. I think it's going to be the last question because I have to round up this session before the 12 o'clock bulletin. So we have this question. So Solape, I think you just help us answer this question. The question is, as a single mother with children, I recently got to know about setting up a living trust as a form of investment that could help generate financial security for my children. I'll very much appreciate your thoughts on this. Is this a safe option in Nigeria, and what are the risks?
Okay, so I saw this question and it got me curious. The way it's presented here, it sounds like it's an investment tool or an investment instrument. However, living trust is simply, a legal document or a legal arrangement that you make while you are alive to say, okay, this is how I would want my assets, or that I have distributed amongst, my children or whoever I want to pass them to. So just look at it like a will that you do and that, activates while you're still alive. You don't, unlike a will that you need to pass on before a will becomes active. So if that is the case, yes, certainly, there are so many trustee firms that are offering these services. So you simply need to walk into most of the investment firms out there have trustee, desks. So you just have to walk into one and, get the conversation started. But a living trust by itself, does not, generate, as much investment. It's not a tool for, generating income as such. I hope, Shola, do you want to pitch in there?
Yeah, I think you've pretty much captured it. Trust is one. There are also target savings. For example, my first son is 15 and he's going into uni next year. 15, yes, he's going to, by sometime next year, yes, he's going to get into uni. And we had started like a target savings for him a couple of years ago. So target savings would also help to say, you know what, my daughter, my son is this in a couple of years, so trust is one, target savings is another. And I think that, getting information, there are a couple of asset management companies that provide specific products for children, and they'll be able to help. I don't want to mention names, but you do your due diligence, ask questions, and you'll be able to, get information about some of these things. And in addition to all of, I just realized that, we all have talked about investing. Damilola has talked about angel investing. Our own businesses might also be some form of investment. This is outside of the question. Sometimes starting our own businesses might be a form of investment as well. Things that we'll be able to pass on to our children, things that will be able to impact the world, of course, provide revenue, provide profitability for us. But I just thought to mention that is also some form of investment. And that's why you see Damilola, you see Solape, you see myself. The reason people are hearing about us is because of the businesses that we have started, not necessarily because, oh, she has worked with this company or has worked with that company. So think about it also, and I just thought to mention that in addition to the question about children. I see people asking, how do I join? Just go to Instagram, check out Smart Stewards, check out Sola Adesakin. I think you should follow Sholape, follow Shuttlers, follow HerVest, follow our individual handles, follow our business handles as well. There are tons of things to learn. The women you see here are the women that in 10 years, she was on a webinar, Forbes list of richest women in the world. Don't miss this opportunity.
We have about 3 minutes to wrap up this entire session. Time has really gone. So
yeah, thank you very much to our panelists. We could go on and on, but unfortunately we don't have the whole day. So please follow all our panelists. You can follow Solape Akinpelu at Solape Akinpelu. Then for Sola Adesakin, it's at Sola Adesakin. For Damilola, it's at Damilola Olokesusi. Yeah, I believe that's correct. And also follow Nairametrics across all social media platforms. And we've been talking about money and investments. Nairametrics has a deal book, which is a compilation of all deals that happened in 2022. The link is being dropped in the chat box right now, so you can download that. Also, Shola has a book on 40 frugal rules for your financial journey. Please get the book. The link is also being dropped in the chat box. Also, Sholape has a book, An African Guide to Women's Building Generational Wealth. Her book is titled Stripped. So you also want to get that as well. And of course, Shuttlers is a transportation company that help corporate organizations with the ease of moving around. The link to their site is also being dropped in the chat box. And of course, we are here in the studio at PlusTv. Funmi, you want to talk about PlusTv Africa very quickly before we round up?
It's PlusTv Africa on all platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on all social media platforms. And please also follow us on YouTube as well. And that's a wrap for today. That's all we can take. I really wish we could extend the time. Really awesome time. I've learned so much. My notebook is full with so many things. So thank you again to all our panelists. Thank you to our partners. Nairametrics was a fantastic one. We should surely do this again.
Truly.
And to all our listeners and viewers, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.